The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. My name is Karen. I am from the Waze community team, and I'm going to host your webinar today for Intro to Map Editing with the Waze Map Editor. So I'm going to take the camera off and we'll get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Okay, so we first want to go over a little bit about the community and what the Waze Map Editor does. For those of you who I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in here. So for the road ahead today, what we are going to be going over is a little bit about the Waze Map Editing community. We're going to get to know the Waze Map Editor and how to add and edit roads. We're also going to go over how to do roundabouts and intersections, places, areas, and points. We'll give you a couple of additional resources, and finally, we'll go through and answer some questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to see answered, please feel free to add them in the chat section in your GoToWebinar platform. You can also follow along with this if you'd like to. If you have a slow internet connection, sometimes it's helpful. There's a PDF over on the right-hand side that you can download, and you can also save it for future use. Okay, so what is this thing we call the community? The community at Waze is a pretty specific thing. Obviously, we are a crowdsourced platform. Our entire app is really built on contribution from drivers. These drivers make a passive contribution by driving with Waze open. And because we can know the speed of your car, we know if there's traffic on a road that generally, let's say, goes 50 miles an hour. If a car is going about 20 on it, we know that there's traffic on that road. So these are what we call passive contributors to the community. Reporters are active contributors. These are people that drive with Waze, and they also report things like gas station prices, hazards on the roads, or police cars. Now, when we talk about the community for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to be talking about the following two areas, and really this one area overall. The editor community are people that log in to our web-based map editor and make a really intensive contribution. These are people who are online and editing the maps and making sure places are updated, and all the different things we're going to show you how to do today are these editors, what we call map editors, and that's what I'm going to talk about when we talk about the community today. Champs are editors who are super knowledgeable, have been doing this for a long time, and know the map editor inside and out. We'll let you know a little bit how to connect with these champs later on in the webinar. So the why and the how. Because Waze is a crowdsourced platform, you might be asking, why map edit? Why is it important that people are online editing the maps? Well, nobody knows your local roads as well as you do. And so map editors online go through and they build and improve the Waze map. They fix map issues and mentor new editors. Now, fixing map issues actually improves the way that Waze works locally in your area. So it's really important for the building and improving the maps and fixing map issues to have the best Waze product locally and to have people who know the local roads fix and edit the maps. And these mentors give back by mentoring new editors. And if you're interested in getting a mentor, we'll show you where to do that later on. Now, our community connects with each other in basically two ways, online and face-to-face. Online, we have the forums. People communicate through email, through chat, and Map Chat and Google Hangouts are both used. And then, of course, face-to-face. We have meetups around the world. Some of them Waze staff attend, some of them the map editors just get together on their own. And these meetups are held throughout the world. You can check your map editor feed, which we'll show you in a little bit, to see about upcoming meetups. Here are some pictures of editors around the world. Some of these have Waze staff in them as well. And you can see editors all around the world. They make their own t-shirts, they make their own signs and cone hats and whatnot. But they're really all around the world are editing and improving the Waze map locally. So let's get started with the WME or Waze Map Editor. As I said before, this is an online web-based platform. Once you go to Waze.com, you can click on Live Map, and then on the bottom left, you can click Edit the Map. You're going to log in using your Waze credentials. If you don't know your password, you may have never set one. It's not necessary to use the Waze app, but you can easily go on under Settings, Account and Login, and you can create your own password, and then from there you'll be able to sign into the map editor. Once you're in the map editor, you can use the search to find the affected area you're looking to edit, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but we can also look at different layers of the map. So let's get to know the WME. The WME's changed a little bit since this slide, as you'll see in a little bit later in the webinar when we go into the map editor, but this is a pretty good explanation. So the search box is where you can find location. You can search by coordinates, intersection, address, whatever you'd like right here. Settings, that's where you log in or log out, and that's actually moved over to the left-hand side, which we'll show you a little bit, is where you switch servers, change language, and enter your dashboard. The action menu I'll go into in depth on the next slide. Map chat is really important. As you see on the bottom right, map chat is where you can talk to local editors and find out editors in your area. Because every community is different, people edit the map in very different ways. And there's a lot of rules already set out and very detailed information. So it's best to connect with your local community as soon as possible to make sure you're editing the map correctly. Over on the left, you'll see segment info. This is where if you click on a segment on the map, you'll see all the associated info. And there we'll go in, as we go into the map editor, on how to change and when to change the different information under segment info. You have zoom and street view, and you can do that pretty easily by just zooming in or out or dragging street view over a road. So, as promised, we have a zoom in of the action menu and the layers menu. So in the action menu, you can do quite a few things. You can create places, and we'll show you categories of the places later on. Create roads and roundabouts. You can save changes, very important. Undo and redo. And you can delete elements on the map. Now that's really important to use very carefully because, as a lot of people will tell you, the segments on the map carry with them a lot of information, so be really careful if you decide to edit or delete something because likely it's supposed to be there. So make sure you check and learn your community rules before using that button. The layers menu. So the Waze map is made up of lots of different layers with super detailed information. You can look at satellite imagery, you can look at roads, you can see the different community area managers in your area, and we'll show you that a little bit later on. So that's a really helpful tool to find that layers menu in the WME. So we have a new map editor feed. This is where you'll see when you log on the left-hand side, you'll see a lot of information. We added a link in the forum post to webinars about how you can find your own profile, but the notifications that you see here are tailored for you. So these are notifications from Waze to editors, from editors to editors, and from the system to editors. The issues you'll find here are about important map notifications, and they're generally, as I said, listed by relevance to you. The map editor feed, we want it to be customized for you, and we're working on more and more customizations every day. You can see information about map raids and webinars, local meetups, level upgrades, new app and editor versions, and even some special announcements. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but a map raid is when you have a concentration of a lot of different areas taking over and trying to fix an area of the map all at one time together. So it's a time-based effort by a community of editors to go in and fix a lot of the issues with the map. It's a really fun way to get started learning how to map edit. Okay, so we're going to share a little bit of the glossary of terms. The link I'll share later can connect you to the larger Waze glossary. So if you hear different terms in the forum, go ahead and check out the Waze glossary in the Waze wiki, and you'll probably be able to find it in there. So the glossary of terms you see here, we have a segment, which is a section between two junction nodes on the map, and that indicates that there's a portion of the road. A junction node is a point on the road where two or more segments meet. Geometry nodes help us with the curvature of the road. So you can adjust the geometry nodes on a road, and that will reflect the road shape and curvature. Junction arrows you'll see live in a second. These are green, red, or yellow arrows that are visible at a junction point, and they indicate what turns are allowed. Direction arrows are small arrows on a segment which indicate the direction the road is traveling. If you don't see any direction arrows on a segment, it means the road goes both ways. Map problems and update requests. You'll see these two layers on the map, and you might be wondering what's the difference between the two. Map problems are system-generated issues that we think in our system, we think there's something wrong, and we would love an editor who knows the local roads to go in and have a look. An update request was actually reported by a Wazer on the road, and you can click on that and see what the Wazer said about the issue. So that's the big difference between map problems and update requests. And you can see the little Wazer inside of the update request that indicates it's a real person behind the request to update the map. Okay, now we're going to go in and create a new road. Let's go in and learn a couple of things about how to create new roads. Okay, so when I edit the map, I want to make sure I'm editing, if I'm not editing what I know for sure, I'm going to edit in an area that's not currently very active. And so right now you see I'm in Tajura, Libya, and we're going to edit here for today, so that we make sure we're not messing up anyone's drive. We know that there's not many Wazers in this area. Okay, so just to quickly show you a little bit of things, you see over here that I'm on the world server on the top left. This is my feed, letting me know there's an upcoming meetup in London. There's a couple of special projects that need my attention, and then if I have anything else, it would be here. Drives, I didn't have any drives recently in Libya, so that's empty. And the area that I'm able to edit the map around. Okay, so we're going to go over and create a segment. We'll create it right here going into this, what we're going to create later as a roundabout. Hang on one second, just making, my computer's catching up with me here. Okay. Now we have the action item menu up here, as we said. I'm going to go over to the road menu and click road. Then I'm going to see a little blue circle that follows my cursor around. Now, this is a question that comes up every single webinar, and I'm going to just answer it now. As you can see, this road is going one way and then it's going two ways. Depending on the community and the style of road, it's going to depend how you add this road to the map. For our purposes today, we're going to add it as one two-way road instead of two one-way roads. So just keep that in mind. If you're not sure how to add a segment to a specific road type, make sure you check with your community standards to learn how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to click in the beginning of this roundabout to set the first point on the map. And then I'm going to go ahead and just follow it all the way down. For our purposes today, we'll end this road here by double clicking. Now, that's how I added a segment very easily, but there's a lot of things wrong with this segment right now, right? It's not connected to the other segments. We don't know if it should be going 2 ways, and right now it's going only 1, as we can see indicated in the direction arrows. So let's go over and fix a couple of these things, and of course, it doesn't have a name yet. So, in order to edit the segment information, I'm going to click on the segment so it's highlighted in blue, and then I'm going to go over and click Edit. For the webinar, we'll call this Webinar Street 1, and the city is right up there for me. It's Tajura, Libya, and I'm going to click Apply to this segment information. Now I want to look over here. What type of road is this? We're going to list this as a primary street. Again, to know which kind of street or which type of road type to use, make sure that you check with your community to learn that a little bit better. It's none of these things, so we'll leave it alone. The direction is 2-way, so I'm going to change that here. And I don't know the speed limit on this road, but if I did, I could add it there. The elevation indicates whether it's a tunnel or an overpass. It's a ground floor, so we'll leave that there. And that's it for us today on this road. So I'm going to hit save. And something comes up that we call the Regression Checker. And it says there seems like there might be something wrong with this road. There seems like there might be a possible disconnection. Now, I know that the disconnection is there, so I'm going to say that I want to save it anyway. But this is something you'll see if there's a potential issue with the road that you've added. So I go ahead and hit save. And now I need to fix this road. I think that's the next section that we're going to go into is simple intersections. So let's just dive right in. Now I want to zoom in a little bit so we can really see the details. Oop, I'm zooming the wrong way. Hold on. Where'd my little guy go? I'm just gonna use your mouse. Okay, there we go. I just refreshed. Okay, so now we're gonna zoom in a little bit. And we can see that these 2 roads are not connected. I grab the edge of this node, and with all luck, it's going to magnetically connect to the webinar street I just created. And I see that that little 3 went together, and now the road is connected. Now, a couple of things I want to check now. The turn restrictions. Remember we mentioned those arrows, the junction arrows? Now, on this road, we can make a right and a left. So I'm going to click on them and let them turn green. From this road, we can make a left, and we can also make a right. So I'm going to make all of those junction arrows green because I know that these roads you can make a right and all of the turns are open. So now I'm going to save it. And we have 3 segments. And notice that that regression checker didn't come up because there were no issues with it. And that's how we create a simple intersection when a road is created. Okay. Now, let me make sure that I'm right as I know the next section. We went through simple intersections. And now let's create roundabouts, my favorite. Okay. We have a beautiful roundabout here that's just waiting to be made. I'm just going to check some of your guys' questions real quick. Okay. So right now we have this roundabout that all of the roads are not connected. And so what happens if a Wazer wants to get from point A on one side to point B? Because in the map editor, these roads are not connected, Waze doesn't think there's any way to get from point A to point B. So we want to fix this and create this roundabout so that any Wazer traveling on this road can use the roundabout. Now I do want to make a note of something. We are editing under the layer of the satellite imagery. Now, I don't know Libya, so the edits I'm making might possibly not be correct because I'm really just going off of the satellite imagery. When you edit the roads, make sure you're not solely relying on your satellite imagery because it might not be correct. So go with what you know to be correct and not necessarily the satellite imagery. But for these purposes, we're going to go ahead and create this roundabout according to the satellite imagery. Now I have a crosshair that just started once I clicked road roundabout. And then I'll click right in the center of the roundabout, hold down my mouse, and bring it all the way out until I have all of the different points of the roundabout taken inside of the circle. I let go, and you see the roundabout is now almost created. The roundabout is going the right way, so I'm going to click Save and watch the magic that happens as the roundabout gets created. Great. Okay. This is an amazing roundabout. It's beautiful. There's a couple of things missing that we want to fix. Why is the roundabout lined with red? The roundabout's lined with red because it doesn't have any segment information on it right now. So I'm going to touch the letter M on my computer, and that means I can select multiple segments. So now I'm selecting all these segments, and I can edit these segments all at once. I'm going to go over to our segment information and click Webinar Roundabout 1. The city again is Tajura, and apply. If you don't know the name of a roundabout, which happens sometimes, you can always click None. Okay. Now the roundabout is going the correct way, so that's fine. I also want to check that let's just save this real quick. And there we go. Now I want to check that the roundabout, it should set all of the turns to go the right direction, but just in case, it's always good to double check. So now, if I click on this section here, oh, I gotta click M again to make sure I'm not selecting multiple sections at once. All right, so these turns are all allowed, which is great. If for whatever reason one turn were not allowed, we'd want to mark that and just click on that direction arrow or click on the junction arrow to change the color. So once we check all of the different directions, we know that everything's fine. And that's creating roundabouts. Pretty cool, right? Okay. Now I believe the next part is we're going to go over house numbers. All right, this is a common question that we get is how do you add and edit house numbers? All right, so to edit a house number, you need to first select the segment that you want to add the house number on. So here I'm selecting this Webinar Test 3 road. And then you'll see, once you've selected it, you'll see an option in the segment attributes come up that's Edit House Numbers. Now, if I wanted to add, let's say 1, 2, and 3 right here, you'll see the house number pop-up comes up, and I just click the plus sign. Now, anywhere on the road that I want to add the house number to, I can add it right there. And you see the little dot on the segment? That's where Waze would route me to if I'm trying to get to this house. So once we click here, I'll click 1, and then that's it. Then I'll add another plus sign. I'll say 2. And then one more. And let's say this was 2A or 3. Let's say it's 2A. I can only say 2. I could type in 2A, but in Waze right now, we don't support alphanumeric searches, only numeric searches. So I could put 2A in, but keep in mind that people would only be able to find 2 when they search on Waze. Okay. Then I hit a check mark, and the house numbers are successfully saved. Once I go out of the house number box, you'll no longer see the house numbers on the map. That's how you add house numbers on Waze. Okay, let's check the next section. Places, areas, and points. Great. Now, we're going to create a couple of places in Libya here. To create a place, I want to go over to the Places menu. You see a lot of different places and types of places here. To start off with, let's create a car service. Let's create a garage, mechanic garage. Okay, so the mechanic garage is not too big of a place, so I'm going to just go ahead and add it as a point to the map. We'll go over how to add an area next. So I click place, and again, I get that little blue circle right around my mouse. We're going to say that the garage is right over here. So I click right there, and now I have a point on the map that I can add all different types of information to. Now, the categories here you'll see are car services. If there's more information I want to add to it, like it also has a gas station, I can add that here. If I wanted to add mechanic, garage, automotive shop, I can add that. Anything here that I wanted to add. The name, we'll name it after, let's say, my nephew, Eli. So we'll say this is Eli's Garage. If there's a brand here, we could add it, if it was listed in your country. And then we will want to go over, if we have more info here, I can say www.elisgarage.com. I could add a phone number for the garage and say all the different things that the garage will do or it has available. If I have opening times, I can add that here. This is really great if you'd like to add a business to the map. Photos, if any user took a photo of this place, you'll see it here, and you can, if you have the permissions, you can approve it. So we'll click Save here, make sure that all of our information is correct, spelled correctly, and then we'll hit Save. So we have one place saved successfully. Now let's create something a little bit bigger than a garage, right? Let's check out what else we have here. Let's say we wanted to add something outdoors, like a park. So we'll go ahead and click on Place an Area. Now you'll see this little blue circle around my mouse come up again. However, it's a little bit different how it works this time. So we're going to create the park right here next to our beautiful roundabout. We're going to click at one corner, and then we're going to drag it over and click at another corner. And now you'll see this area starts expanding, and we're going to trace what we see on the map. Once I think I've set it pretty well, I'm going to double click. Again, we'll have the opportunity to add all different types of things here. We'll say that this is a park. Maybe it's also, let's see what we got here. Maybe it's also camping and trailer park. All right, now let's name this trailer park and camping ground. We will name it after, let's say, my other nephew, Noah's Park. Just like Noah's Ark, get it? Okay, and then we will add any other information in here that we wanted to. We can also go into more info. I could add a website here and phone number again. And as users start taking pictures and adding the pictures here, we can look at them and approve them if available. A couple of things about this. If we wanted to take this entire area and move it, we'd click on this outside little mouse indicator that we have there. The one that you see inside, the circle inside, will allow us to set the entrance point. Right now, you're only able to set one entrance point for an area, so you want to move this to where the main entrance point will be. So I'll move it right over there, and we're going to click Save. Okay. So now we have this place that was collected. If we, for whatever reason, wanted to see the map without the satellite imagery, we could do that, and you can really clearly see the places that you've added. Okay. There's all different, as I mentioned before, there's all different types of layers that you can look at if you're interested in doing that. All right. So I want to quickly go over the editing resources. We did something different today. Just reading a couple of questions here. Okay, so, oops, sorry about that, guys. So what we did today actually is we thought it would be cool to create a forum in the webinar, a forum for the webinar that has all different types of links for you. So in the PDF, and I'll actually share this link right now in chat. Let me share that with you right here. Send to all. You'll see that I've shared with you a link to this webinar forum. And the forum here, we have a link to a recorded version of the webinar, so you can see that. You can also find your editor profile. You can do that by copying here, and instead of in just taking this out and inserting your username right there into the end. So that's a really cool thing if you want to look and see how your edits are doing on the map. This is a place where you can find your local community forum. So I'll open that link right now so everyone can see it. There's a lot of forums, and my biggest advice is to go in and get to know your community forum as soon as you can. The Quick Map Editing Guide, the Editor Manual, the Waze Glossary, and the Place Editing are all pages in the Waze Wiki. So if we're going to click right here in the Map Editor Guide, I want to just show everyone what the Waze Wiki looks like. We are working on a new version of the Waze Wiki right now called Wazopedia, and that's in beta testing right now. So if you see that mention up at the top of the page, that's why. So here you see just everything you kind of want to go through and know about Waze. You can find your local community and check out where to find answers to frequently asked questions, view the glossary. All of that's available through the Waze Wiki. And then here you have something really cool called the Ask a Champ forum. The Ask a Champ forum is a forum where you can go and talk to the top level editors and ask them a question if you're stumped. And they're generally really helpful and know way more than I do about map editing. So that is pretty much it for the webinar. I want to answer a couple of questions if we can get some up here. So let's read through a few. So a couple of people are asking about how to make changes locally for a given road and how so that Waze makes the proper direction. There's a lot of information in there, and there's certain degrees that if you put a road at a specific angle, will give you different directions. So check out the wiki, and that will really help you understand the right editing angles for the apps that you're in. It's a little complicated, and I don't want to get too deep into it in the intro to map editing, but you can always go and talk to your community and even find a mentor to help you with that. Okay, so we went over when I should split a road. Someone asked about that. How can I edit an area where I haven't driven? That's a really important question. So if you'd like to edit in an area where you don't necessarily have permissions, you can do a couple of different things. If it's an area that doesn't have an area manager yet, you can always apply to become the area manager of that area. And the community has a dedicated forum that has area manager requests. So go on there and see about becoming an area manager. You can also chat or message the current area manager and ask them, explain to them the change you want to make and why you want to edit outside of an area where you've driven. Because when you first start, you can only edit around the areas that you've driven. And then as you continue, you're going to be able to edit further and gain more permissions as long as your map editing is of good quality. All right. We already answered the alphanumeric question. What do I do with locked segments? Again, you want to talk to the area manager or talk to the community to unlock segments through your local forum. How soon does an edit that I make appear live? Absolutely. It takes about 24 hours for the tile builds to take effect. So yeah, that's basically that information. Someone has to talk a little bit more about levels, which control elements an editor can edit. That really depends on your community. Depending on your community will depend on what the different levels allow you to do, because different communities decide that at different areas. So check your local wiki, check your local forums, and you'll learn what you're able to do at all the different levels. I think that's it for right now, guys. Again, please go over, check out, you'll have a forum that you can go visit immediately, and then make sure that you use the other forums to connect with your local community. A lot of your communities might even have Facebook pages or chats that you can get involved in. So make sure you're connecting with them there. I'm going to try to post a version of this new recorded webinar up to increase the quality of the video that we currently have. I apologize for the lack of quality in the current YouTube video. But that's about it for today. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And keep in mind that there's an Intro to Map Editing webinar every month. So if you missed this one or missed part of it, you can always attend the first Sunday of every month. We have it at different times to go through different areas of the world. So thanks again, guys. I hope it was informative, and be sure to connect with your community and use the resources we gave you to find the answers you need. Okay, have a great time and happy mapping.